Alright, you know I am here at this cyber place in Cordoba, Venue, near of Ameghino Hospital. Today's Monday, 5th, 2014, and I am recording with debut NCH video capture that I just downloaded here at this terminal. You know, we were going through a lot of things. I had this situation. The last time, for a few days ago, I just used my keesp with exactly the reality for. I just were trying to do something and found that the plan of Sodoma-Gomorra are Policía Federal Argentina, Fuerzas Armadas, kept on. The regular debut video capture I use, and I installed for 1.5 years at my keesp and using permanently, were taken off and dissociated from my system. The same happened with the AutoCAD designing trials, and the same happened with the Audacity trials and freeware, which it is, Audacity actually. The same with the free video maker. And the same with the PhotoPad editor of NCH, which is a freeware that I were using for the making the photo that I snapshotted with my Android, the whole singing that I've been doing, the converting for MP4, MP3, and MPJ, and everything that I've been using in the CAD for the designing, telling that I were working from them stages, and they're supposedly come inside my house and finding out everything like this. I had robbed them, and even with my supposed psychopath obsessed character to taking them out. So I just came to this place, making this video of this VGA camera, which is really poor at image, right? I'm using my microphone, and thank God this has been recorded. Well, to the telling you the truth, at the same fact that I came here, at the same reality I am through this whole situations, wherefore the explaining some extra. I have been through certain more extortions, more destructions. I supposedly have been permanently maintaining sex and making disasters. There are more assembled porn all around, telling this picture doesn't just the same. Well, I do not nothing but dealing with extortions, are still premeditating to genocide Israel using that this is not no royal and no holy of no God, and this are degenerate, like we said, to the making the genocide of the millennium, saying that Israel gotta be F-word and killed. And we're disappearing and murdering my whole people, but the news were, why is he not detained yet? Because of they got up first. My people whole. And Israel and the one that knows me. The whole one that knows me and knows who I am. So suddenly I have this neighbor, which is forensic, you know, and he is a Jew, just like me. And suddenly happened something which I were not totally, entirely understanding that were happening or would come like that. Suddenly they switched a car, and there is this precious Corolla that they got. They has a good standard of life, and bless them for that. Always they to be honest, and they to be respectable, and people to work. And Israel knows this so. So in the middle of the reality this happened the clear fact of at the point of last night I were coming right at my place, my address in Buenos Aires, and through this moment I saw them just coming with the Corolla, and somebody at that morning asked me about if I envied them, and I said, what for? I don't need to envy nobody. They progress, they has good living standard, they can afford it, they can living right, fine, they can progress, and they are honest and clean. I'm happy. They can really worth it. So suddenly, if I can anytime having the same at my own, understand my own, about Adonai to help me, and I with him, and making my job, which Sodoma and Gomorrah are permanently trying to avoid that happen. And let's coming again, I'm not talking about gay. I said Sodoma and Gomorrah, which is not homosexuality. For everybody to understand, don't let them cheat you. Sodoma doesn't mean homosexuality. Sodoma means what they do. Degeneración. Abomination. So suddenly, at the reality of the soul, just to set clear some extra, I'm gonna remove this. I don't need it. Let's put in some clear thing. Through these times and through these realities, to the set clear, I just came inside. I didn't want it to bother them, and I feel really awkwardly whenever I have people that I love and people that I care for around, or people that can really affect me at the reality just being related at my person and for as I am, A2 as well. For this degenerates damages them, and not only for humanly, but permanently making the living for a witchcraft, degeneración, Kirchners, and them expertises, and hold them disgusting shit that are them's, Armed Forces Argentina, with the pardon of few. Then, in the middle of this reality, it just happened like I came inside my address, and I felt awkward for the reason I am struggled and having a very nightmare around. And at the reality of the soul, I don't like people to be destroyed and damaged, and I don't want to be present where I can be delivered into, not only I to be the core, but the reality people to be damaged for I to be there. So I never went to no shul, and I never went to no place, and every time I were trying to get to Amia, we had threatened and we had destroying and murdered by them. Policía Federal Argentina especially. So in the middle of this degeneration Sodoma-Gomorra, we have the clear fact of Amia, Argentina. The whole of the directive were kidnapped yesterday and today morning and delivered into destruction with invention, policial invention, and defense invention, telling US terrorism in Argentina and UNASUR to data being massively destroyed, and let's say in the right word, raped and murdered. So I ripped them out to the everyone, and I said no one to them. And supposedly Amia will be the buddies of Christina Kirchner, like squatters, normally they do, and telling that they are going to dress on Amia for there to take in places of Amia with the power of the phallus of them expertises, being that the generation and abomination just like them, for the making this shit. So let's put in the things in clear, my supposed delirers, my supposed schizoid point. Whenever this soul, through this, I just came out of my door this morning, came to the Ameghino hospital dealing with the situations, not for I need it, just for the still dealing with the same and through all. And everything was just normal, just okay. So I just came off of there, and when I came back, I'm found that SACKNESS, the Generate Policía Federal Argentina, inside the same kiosco right beside my door, talking with this that I am not really sympathizing lately, Jorge, one, the dude this. And in the middle of this reality, not only for this, that where this degenerate Policía Federal Argentina inside, making the friendly approaching to the place. And I'm found danger tape all around at this house of this forensic. So suddenly in the middle of this soul, I have no idea humanly what just happened to them. But yes, I know that we're premeditating to murder, destroy, suppress, denigrate and discredit the whole, as I've been telling, Fajina, Sodoma, Gomorra, all around, studying the reality and making strategizing against my person about how and where and when to suppress, to destroy and attack, and making up that I stolen them and I wanted to kill them and I wanted to make a disaster and I were the responsible for whatever this happened to them. So At the clear of the soul, I didn't know, and humanly I don't know yet. But the reality is, Policía Federal Argentina planned this. The whole, except for so few, still under healing process and destruction. Then in the middle of the soul, the idea is come to disappearing, suppressing, discrediting, ruining the supposed house of the chunkies, right beside of the Kiosko, the supposed chunky sailor, the Kiosko one, the supposed narcos and I will ever want to kill, forensics, choose, and the supposed whole as whatever to be found, horse up, horse in front, and the ones that supposedly being the cute fellows making coins for lives, which is inside the building. And I'm gonna show you this all. At the reality of this, the Sakhali phony police station, PFA, that generates, kept on making all pouring all over about my person, seeking for social mattress, making institutional invention on whole the generation, telling we come inside its house, we do to it now. And in the middle of this all, forwarded and still forwards into disappearing, murdering and destroying neighbors all around and raping people at the neighborhood I am and all over. And saying this ones had sex with officers and this is forbidden, they gotta be in jail. And telling that I'm doing permanently. I'm gonna say this, and I want you to understand what I'm gonna talk. The clear fact of this, I am just dealing with the situation and I have no access about nothing. International Criminal Court sent me 5 more orders appointing and asking me, but my friends in Israel, I to make in this video, even if poor image, like you can see. Just to putting in my account, telling that them accounts and telling that everything I done, just they done, and not I. And seeking for also disappearing Ameginos and disappearing Israel justice bodies, your honors in ICC and whoever and whatever as states. So this is dimensionally, deliriously, how can possibly for you? Alright, for me, how can possibly, you tell me, they are doing? Just tell me, they are. Amia were kidnapped for being murdered. And pretending to putting squatters that generates to taking them places like pretends to doing with everybody saying they never were here, just us. And we are them. And there's to saying, of course, the sick shit. So suddenly, at the clear fact of this, you tell me, for me, and with the generates evangelics while extortioning, oh, send them now, you will find that trying to pick up. And he's stolen us, and he made whatever the invention and the shit forwards with everything and it all. So I'm just trying to establish some orders, and I'll see if off of hacking of horse and the generados, Policía Federal Argentina, upon my device, to trying to switch out files and robbing whatever I cut and disappearing files on my laptop and disappearing and destroying and keep on making disasters at my system and software and keep on making up and classify the generation shit saying state of rights, justice and federal police. We cannot all be mistaken while government of Cristina Kirchner saying they researched me themselves, saying that they found everything like them expertise as Sodoma-Gomorra said will be found for the making the BLYTT. I and we are suffering, but this the generation 666, everyone, supposed to libraries of mine, about, how can I say this? Not everybody can be mistaken. Come again, we never spoken about no one to mistake unless everybody. Because of if everybody says the same, I'm sorry, come over, forgive me that. If everybody says, neither says. Come again, if everybody says the same, and the same everybody are saying, over already proof around the world on US state, Israel state, where I belong with. Europe Union, justice parties, about my supposed delusional that they travels all the time, send them to US, send them to ICC, send them to Israel, send them to Europe and Russia to arrange this mess. for me. And in the middle of this reality, not only this, but everybody says the same, already proof around and proved is all a fraud and a lie, is because of there's not a mistake. They are all implied and involved, all accomplices, and all them shit, like the them shit Sodoma-Gomorra, Policía Federal, and the bodies, Fuerzas Armadas. So in the middle of this, thank God I could making work this, and I have the microphone to recording this video for it were asked I to do. So I'm gonna tell you this. In the middle of the reality, people were murdered all around. People were raped all around and still for more. Families, friends. I have been embracing a loss, and not only I. And in the middle of this reality, much further and really worse than this. And you already know so much, if you really want to know. Then at the reality of this, I give you. Bedgelach is elat sechinim. Gedlechad is gelchalishelek machlatas esevata. Renchal shechiligim aploatsa beechalach nish nivelkik. Resiala veshon motsbua dat letach na es elvoan. Sechlecha vishkuat lablevechi deskatlevecha eshelmot. Renchal vechia valfoat askalvenish gelchinimiachat esleka. Adrechal vefiach levespot levechalachinimikia fesel. Renchal vesia felfoach lechebesvach lesechal shechalekimechinim. Intramat lefechal chalish atsevet. And pretends to putting me guilty of whatever it happened to the neighbor. And makes up and forges and says any class of a shit for the reason of this I give you. https www mbdrmcd middle kailak verten. Kailak is K-A-L-L-U-I-A-K, and Burton, the name of ICC. Middle, realities of UNASUR, degenerados with conscience all over and abominables with the intentional they to be exactly this and the way they dies. Middle, Rosel, it is R-O-S-S-E-L. Middle, Kaim, this is K-A-U-I-M. Middle, Cis, middle, Udal, U-H-D-D-E-L, 443.int, F2. Last bleed and cleaner my site. Last bleed. I says in New York, last key and cleaner my site. While I are hacking and robbing this video now from the nets that I am ninth and the whole the generation expertises intelligence for the saying he never were there and this never happened. And if they're possible, come to murder here around. Maricas degenerados y prostitutas de cuarta. Sorry for this. I give it for now this at this video this day. I'm Alejandro Mario Blanco, REDEMI. We are at this January the 5th, 2014. This is 1953, Buenos Aires, and I give you, this place is called, give me a moment please. I am at Cordoba Venue 3312. This is a cyber. Has a lot of definitions, but I don't see the name, and they couldn't say me what the name of this business right here. But well, like I said, this is what it is, and please everybody, remain what is this like. Here is a lot, and I'm gonna send much more. I'm gonna see how to fix so I can keep on using my equip because of I have it clear, except for the generations these perras sucias, Sodoma-Gomorra, Policía Federal Argentina and expertises permanently does for the them phallus to command and them vaginas to command for the generations they all are and the way they gotta die. Forgive me this please. 1955, Buenos Aires, if that is possible. Forgive me, please. I'm sorry, Israel, please. Protect yourselves. And justice bodies, I love you all. Your honors, Mr. President.